Well, good morning. Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. I still got the C cred, but I wanted to get on here because of the decision overturning Roe and say a word about that. Violence is coming. Be careful. A lot to keep in mind on this. I'm going to be talking over on American Reversion about the political ramifications of this, which I think are going to be great in more ways than one. I think they're going to be widespread, and I think they're going to be good. So great in two ways. I think this is a good decision for the future. However, it brings some danger for the immediate moment today and through the summertime up through the political, the election. As I've mentioned before, I was 14 years old during the race riots in 1968. I was in Kansas City. They were all across the country. But I learned something about rioting and directed violence from that experience. And then later on, of course, when I was on the job, I dealt with some smaller what you might civil disturbance type situations. This is going to be a very, very dangerous time for a lot of people. We have an entire, side of our country now who believes that it's their right to kill other people. We've heard the threats from this Jane's Revenge group. They're perhaps the most vocal right now, but they're certainly not the only ones. And on that side who have these strange, outlandish, unbelievable beliefs about what they have a right to do, and what the Constitution, allows them, ensures them. All of this, these people are just start raving nuts. And you cannot begin to understand or to reason with these people. What you have to do is to be careful of them and to understand and accept that you're not going to be able to anticipate everything that they might do. So I want to give just a couple of suggestions here on how to handle this. Beginning now, this becomes a lot more dangerous. It becomes dangerous pretty much everywhere and for everyone. Now, it doesn't mean that it's going to touch everywhere and everyone, but what it means is you can't tell when it's going to touch who. Okay, does that make sense? It's probably not going to touch the smaller towns and the rural areas. There are some cases where it might, but not nearly as much in the cities and the suburbs. It's going to cause a great fracturing, and I'll talk about this more on American Reversion, between families and between communities and between churches and between states, and that's probably a good thing. But it's going to be so widespread, I believe, that the danger is going to be it's going to be imminent, and it's going to be difficult to determine where and when it might happen. Sorry, I'm stumbling a little bit. I've still got the fog here. Be careful where you go. If you're at work now, this came down on a Friday. If you're at work now, probably nothing's going to happen until this evening. You're going to have protests and rioting outside, rioting to different degrees outside, the Supreme Court and different places, and abortion providers and things like this. They're probably going to organize and demonstrate outside representatives' homes and all sorts of places. There's no way that you're going to be able to tell where they're going to do it. When the riots hit in Kansas City, there were a lot of people who were caught at work and had to make it through some rather dangerous areas to get home. So the first thing is pay attention to where you're going, where you have to go. Something like this probably isn't going to be as widespread as race riots. It's going to be more directed. But plan where you're going. Always be aware of where you're going. Watch up ahead of you. You know, places, people like this, they can block intersections. They can attack vehicles. You never know, and that's the thing about this type of violence is going to be. It can flash at any point, at any time. If you're in a vehicle and you come upon a situation that it looks like it's going to be congested, avoid that. Try, you know, hopefully, you know, I mean, if you're on a highway, take an off ramp if you can. If you get stuck, you're kind of screwed for as long as they're going to keep it up, because I don't see the police moving in and moving these people out. And anytime soon, I can see people being trapped on a freeway for quite a while, and having to go to the bathroom could be the least of your worries. Like I said, pay attention to the traffic up ahead of you. Try not to get stopped in your vehicle. Now, there will be some that will say, don't stop for anything, no matter what, keep moving. Well, that's not always a possibility. I mean, you know, another vehicle, a truck can be pulled out in front of you, and guess what? You got to stop. If at all possible, remain within your vehicle. Don't try to get out. You know, your vehicle, even though a lot of it's made of glass, is still sometimes safer than trying to get out and get into the milieu, especially depending on what kind of stickers you have on your car. Vehicles with ProLife stickers are probably going to be targeted for attack. I'm not telling you to take those stickers off, because you know, I mean, it could be wise to take them off, but I'm not. I'm also one that says sometimes I take a stand, right? Sometimes I take a stand if I understand what the stand is, and I'm willing to stand up against whatever may come my way as a result of it. Excuse me. So, you know, if you've got pro-life stickers, or if you've got stickers of a Catholic church or a Baptist church, particularly, now their churches aren't known for taking such a strong stand against abortion. You know, sadly, if you have a Methodist sticker on your car, it's probably, you know, okay, and that's too bad. But if you have a sticker that indicates that you're pro-life, realize that that's sending a signal, and it can draw people down on you. Now, people who attack, whether they attack you individually or whether they attack you in a vehicle, most of the people aren't there to kill you. Some may be. But realize also that more people get hurt and killed by accident than on purpose, and that the animalistic rage of a crowd, the chaos in a crowd, can quickly explode beyond the limits that the individuals in there would usually have for themselves. Interestingly enough, in a riot situation, you can have a real flash of violence. You can have burnings and shootings and all that, and a half a block away, you can have people just kind of walking around, seeing what's there. These kinds of things attract sightseers. They attract young people who just want to be a part of what's going on. I wonder what's going on down there. Let's go see the riot. I have to admit that I was. My friends and I, when we were 14, we'd sneak down the more volatile areas, and until we got to the checkpoints where the National Guard was, and we'd just see what was going on, and we thought it was kind of cool because we were too stupid to know that we could have caught one right in the head. Don't be stupid. I would suggest that everybody riding in a car who is old enough to handle one, that there be a tool of self-defense in that car for that person. You never know what you will need and when you will need it. Now, this brings in a whole new area here. Sometimes if you're caught in a car and you decide that it's just untenable to stay in that car for whatever reason, or they toss your car and they bust out your windows, and and everything, and then they've had enough of you and they find another target a block down the street, and they go after them, or the police show up or whatever, and now it's time for you to get out of the car if it's appropriate to do so. I mean, if your car's still running, and keep on going, even if you don't have any windows left. Keep on going and drive someplace safe. But if for whatever reason it turns out, well, we got to get out of the car, make sure that everybody is on the same page. There needs to be a leader in that car, and who needs to make sure that, okay, guys, we are getting out here and we are doing this or that. We are going over there. Okay, we're not all getting out of the car, and everybody should exit on the same side so that you don't take any chances of being separated. We're getting out and we're going right over there, and when we get to that spot, we're going to stop for a minute and take a look, and then I'm going to say where to go next. Is everybody clear? Is everybody on that? And wait until everybody is listening. And don't, you're going to have some people, well, I don't think we should. You got to take care of that. You got to take care of that, because these are the things that can cause some people to get hurt, or the entire group to get hurt, or worse. So, have that in mind, develop that. You might have little meetings with your family. Guys, if this happens, Dad or Mom, if Mom is the more experienced of the group, then it's Mom, okay? But I just, in my case, it's Dad, so I'm going to say, Dad is going to say, okay, you're watching, here's what we're going to do. Here's a tool for everybody who is old enough to operate the tool. And when I say go, we are all going to exit through the driver's side or the passenger side, whatever's right. So-and-so is going to go first. So-and-so is going to go right behind him. You are going to stay so close that you're touching each other. And here's the order we're going to go in. And we are going to go right over to that spot. I don't know, whatever, that red car, the corner of that building, that pine tree, whatever it is. We are going to go over there. And at that point, when we get there, I'm going to either say, let's keep going, follow me, or sit down. And at that point, if we sit down, we're going to take a good look around us. We're going to reassess the situation, and the leader is going to make the determination on what happens next. Leadership and things like this make all the difference. Confusion leads to people getting hurt and killed. So that being, and then make it as quickly as you can to somewhere of safety. Now, could that be a police station? Maybe, maybe not. Guess what? When there are riots going on, all the cops aren't at the police station. They're someplace else. Is there a location? Do you see a bunch of cops over there, dealing with something? Hey, make your way over there to them if you can't. Probably that's not going to be the case. You're going to be caught in a situation before the cops ever get there, and you're just going to have to kind of make it on your own. Realize that this is one of those situations that you're going to have to make it on your own, that help may not be coming. Keep stuff in your office, keep stuff in your car, some food, some water in case you get separated, in case you need to stay at a certain location for a while. Having something to snack on and something to drink is very important. And realize that sometimes you're going to have to go to lengths that you may not ever have thought you would have to go to protect yourself from your fellow citizens, right? But then, on the other hand, there will be some cases that will not call for extreme response, and you want to be able to handle yourself in a way that will ensure your safety as much as you can, without going too far. Now, people coming at you with boards or rattling your car with boards and sticks and trash cans and iron pipes, yes, those are considered, they can be considered in a court of law lethal weapons, and so you may or may not, and I'm not giving you legal advice here, I'm telling you that that's going to be up to a prosecutor, may or may not be within your rights to use lethal force. That it's amazing how those of you who haven't been in, and many of you have, those of you who haven't been in it don't realize the hours and hours and hours that people take to criticize and pick apart the decision you had to make out of fear in a matter of seconds. But that's the way it is. So think about these things ahead of time. You may be able to use lethal force legally. You may not be able to. So you also need to be able to make those decisions and protect yourself. You should have sublethal tools, should I say it that way, that you could be able to respond to non-lethal aggression in a non-lethal way. That's going to keep you out of the grease later on. But, here again, somebody's going to come in and say, well, better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6. Well, that's true. That's true. As long as you understand that the important part of that is that you're judging by 12 is got a good chance of coming down in your favor. But your life is always number one. You have a right to defend yourself. You have a right to protect those around you as well. So take that seriously and realize that you may need to. Lastly, this isn't something that I think is going to get over quickly. I think this is going to gin up. I think it's going to become more and more dangerous. I think we should be able to expect, I won't say the word here, but attacks of certain kinds throughout the summertime, directed attacks. And it is not something that you should let your guard down about. This is going to go at least through the election. The other side has already said that they're not going to let this stand. We see what they mean when they say that, and they are calling up their constituents. They are calling up their supporters to bring a lot of trouble to this country, and that means bringing a lot of trouble to the people. This is probably necessary. It's probably important. I'm going to talk more about that on American Reversion for those of you who are also interested in the political aspects. I think this has been a very important decision for the future of our country, and I'll talk about that over there. But for now, just realize I didn't say that this was brought to you by the Second Amendment. It's also brought to you by my books. My books where I talk about how things ought to be. Ought to be. Not the craziness that this country has devolved into. And I'll leave it there. If you'd like to join us over on Patreon, where I talk more about how ways to defend yourself, and probably now it's never been more important than now that you watch some of those things that I'm talking about over there. So join us if you'd like, and you can join us by a link down there. It also shows you how to get to my books, but be careful. Like we always say, we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. Preparing well is being able to anticipate and understand the realities of what might be coming your way, and then to think and to plan. What are you going to do? What are you going to do when it happens? This is a time when you should be wargaming it. Everywhere you go, if something pops up over there, what do I do here? Now what? Now what? Now what? Now what? Now what? This is a now what game, because every now and then the now comes, and then you got to know the what to do. Okay, right? You all have a good day. Be careful. I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.